Well, welcome to the Herb of the Week with me, Stephanie Georgiev, your host and instructor for the Botanical Medicine Study course. I know the name's a bit clunky, not very catchy, but it is descriptive. So is Herb of the Week, as a title that is quite descriptive. At the time of this recording and posting, we are at the tail end of January, and wow, winter has certainly roared in with quite fanfare over much of the globe. This week's herb is quite popular in cold and flu season, and in fact is consistently in the top 10 best-selling and most popular herbs on the US market. The herb of the week for this week's edition of the Botanical Medicine Study course is Echinacea. It is one of the popular herbs that is known for its Latin name, and its common name is purple coneflower. And this name, as you can see in the image, is for obvious reasons. Echinacea is a Native American herb that has been in use with the natives for centuries and was one of the first medicinal herbs to be imported to Europe. Echinacea is an herbaceous flowering plant in the daisy family, which for you delightful people into botanical taxonomy is the Asteraceae family. It has 10 species, which are commonly called coneflowers, and they are found natively in eastern and central North America, where they grow in moist to dry prairies and open wooded areas. Now, people grow echinacea all over the place, but this is where they are natives. Now, archaeologists have found evidence that Native Americans may have used echinacea for more than 400 years to treat infections and wounds, and as a general cure-all. Samples of echinacea have been found in archaeological digs of Lakota Sioux villages sites dating from the 1600s. Throughout history, people have used echinacea to treat scarlet fever, syphilis, malaria, blood poisoning, and diphtheria, although they might not use the names for those diseases, but they have been treating them. Echinacea has experienced cycles of increased popularity in the time it has been known to the European-based settlers from the turn of the 19th century. Little mention was made of echinacea in medical literature before H.F.C. Meyer, a lay doctor from Nebraska, discovered, quote unquote, the virtues of Echinacea augustifolia around 1870. And like all good American settlers, was entrepreneurial and started making a patent medicine from the plant. The earliest references of the medicinal uses of any of the species of Echinacea appeared in the second edition of Flora Virginia by L.T. Gronovius in 1762. Now, the eclectics, and this is an eclectic physician, which I think that's a gun in his holster, so definitely American. The eclectics were prominent in the United States from 1845 to 1930. And these were a group of medical doctors who used botanical medicine extensively in their practices. In their heyday, they maintained a number of medical schools in various parts of the United States, most notably in Cincinnati, Ohio. Back at this time, Ohio was considered the Wild West, a frontier territory, and a hotbed for natural medicine. In the days of the colonies and in the early days of our existence as a nation, there was great mistrust of anything that seemed establishment. Orthodox medicine was seen as related to the crown, which had been defeated in the Revolutionary War. Being independent in all things, including healthcare, was primary. So any type of attempt at organizing healthcare practitioners was just soundly rejected. And it was very important to be independent and, Take care of yourself, including healthcare in all aspects of being an American. So the recent hand-wringing of public health experts and news pundits over the distrust of orthodox medical science is actually not new in the United States of America. Now, I'm not saying we should distrust medical science. In fact, science is starting to validate much of traditional medicine, specifically in the realm of herbs. What I am saying is that it is quite American and in our historical tradition not to trust institutions. Back to the eclectics. The eclectic school was a major force in bringing echinacea to the forefront of herbal medicine. John King, one of the best-known eclectic doctors and author of the important King's American Dispensary in 1852, and if you can get a copy of this, which Eclectic Institute actually publishes such books, I highly recommend it, because this book was instrumental in introducing echinacea to the medical profession in 1887. The echinacea species are herbaceous, drought-tolerant, perennial plants growing up to 4 feet or 140 centimeters in height. They grow from taproots, except Echinacea purpurea, which grows from a short caudex with fibrous roots. The 3 main medicinal echinacea are as follows, and not in any importance in terms of orders. An apology to Latin experts for my pronunciation. Echinacea angustifolia, Echinacea pallide, and Echinacea purpurea. The flowers are actually composites of hundreds of flowers. So the inside that you think, the center, which you think is the pollen thing, is actually a group of up to, I don't know, 100 flowers. I haven't counted them. If you have nothing better to do, you can do that. But the flowers, as I said, are actually composites of hundreds of flowers, which is why the Asteraceae family was originally known as the Compositae family. And the combination of composite flower heads and the taproot, which means the plant has quite a gesture of the sun. There's all these flowers soaking up that sun energy and taking it deep into the soil through the taproot. And this means the family in general, the Asteraceae family, but Echinacea in particular, has a very healing energy to it. So that's a little taste of what you'll get in the course. Now, as I said before, Echinacea is a perennial plant, which means it can live up to 2 seasons minimally and more if the situation is right. Echinacea is a hardy perennial that survives very cold winters. Remember, it's native to the plains in the USA, which can be quite cold in the winter. These plants become dormant in winter and reemerge in the spring. Echinacea thrives in full to partial sun. The plants need at least 4 hours of sunlight per day. The plant grows natively along the edges of woodlands, so they will thrive in spots with morning shade and afternoon sun, and vice versa. If you want to include this in your garden, and I highly recommend it, plant Echinacea plants in the spring or fall in well-drained soil. It's an excellent pollinator plant to include your garden. All those flowers are calling out to bees and butterflies, come and eat. And to use it medicinally, the plant needs to be at least 2 years old. And you have to use the entire plant, which means root, leaf, and flowers. So after 2 years, sing a song, thank the plant, because that's it. And Echinacea has also been over-harvested in the wild, almost to extinction. And the American Herbal Guild and other plant saver communities have worked very hard to preserve natural wild echinacea, getting it listed on endangered lists, and also encouraging people who use herbs for their health to use other herbs. And we've talked about a few of those on this channel. And thankfully, there are numerous herbal farms cultivating this plant to meet global demands. The complex chemical composition of roots and herbs of Echinacea involves, and here we go with really great Scrabble words, Alchimedes ketoalkenes, caffeic acid derivatives, polysaccharides, and glycoproteins, which are believed to be responsible for very well documented immunostimulatory and anti-inflammatory activities. Once again, lots of Scrabble words for those of you who are indulging in this game on this long winter nights. Now, the main action of Echinacea is antimicrobial. A lot of people think it's antiviral, but it's really more antimicrobial. And it has some immunomodulating properties, which basically means that it stimulates the immune system. So it acts differently than elder. Elder is directly antiviral. Well, this is more at the root, pun intended, of the problem. Now, the scientific studies on this herb are quite extensive, mainly because it's so widely used and it's a very lucrative product for manufacturers. And those manufacturers have to give chemical analysis before they can put stuff on the market. Now, the best products are obviously organic and they need to be a combination of root, leaf, and flower. One aspect of this herb, specifically because of its immune-enhancing properties, is that it stimulates the thymus gland, and that's that famous gland in the center of your chest underneath your sternum. There is increasing, basically what we understand is there's an interesting relationship between the thymus gland, which is your immunity, and your adrenals, which are related to how you react to things. And this means if you stimulate one of these glands, you suppress the other. So if you stimulate the adrenals, you depress the thymus. And if you stimulate the thymus, you depress the adrenals. So this is why prolonged stress, which activates the adrenals, can suppress the thymus, which is, as we said, the main gland for immunity. And this is why prolonged or excessive stress can make you sick. So people who have adrenal issues, and you know who you are, need to be careful with Echinacea. And if you people who have adrenal issues do not have high blood pressure, it's good to balance out herbal regimens with Echinacea with some licorice root. And licorice root stimulates the adrenal glands, okay? So if you have high blood pressure, you do not want to do that. And this is why it's important to contact a qualified herbal practitioner and also to take the botanical medicine study course so you know what you're doing. Details in the program notes. Many of the over-the-counter products containing Echinacea usually have it combined with golden seal. In fact, it's kind of difficult to find just plain Echinacea. Echinacea should not be taken long-term, say over a week, mainly because it can depress the adrenal glands if taken for long periods of time. And also, it may be that your issue needs more attention. If you're sick for more than a week, you really do need to go to a healthcare provider. Now, I personally feel the best way to take Echinacea is with liquid gel caps or through tinctures. The dosage you will get in a tea really isn't that strong. And a lot of herbal teas on the market are usually combinations of many different herbs. And if you're taking a teaspoon or a tablespoon of these in a bag, like in a prepared bag, you can guess the dosage of each of these herbs really isn't that strong. So Echinacea is also very strong tasting, and you can tell if it's really powerful if your mouth goes a bit numb, and you tend to notice this more when you're taking the tincture. And it's also best to start Echinacea right away at the first sign of a cold or a flu. And that's when it's most effective, and that's what most of the scientific studies are saying. As always, please consult a qualified healthcare provider. And if your cold or flu persists for more than 10 days, in lay terms, your cold is going deeper. So it may indicate you need to change your remedies or make sure whatever is ailing you is not developed into a stronger infection, let's say into a pneumonia. Again, one of the best ways to stay healthy in cold and flu season is to get plenty of rest, restrict sugar intake to natural sugars, which you eat in whole fruits and vegetables, and sweeten things with stevia, monk fruit, or small amounts of natural honey. Note, a lot of times if you get honey on the commercial market, especially if it's really cheap or in packets, it's usually colored corn syrup. And that's not going to help your colds and flu. So this is why you need natural honey. Also, make sure to wash your hands frequently and drink plenty of fluids. Echinacea can be a wonderful remedy for minor colds and flus of winter, again, right at the start, meaning right when you get that kind of scratchy throat, got a headache, achy, kind of feeling cold, and you think, oh, it's nothing, it's something. That's the beginning of a cold or flu, and that's when you should start taking Echinacea. Now, also, Echinacea is a lovely addition to your garden. If you would like more information about botanical medicine in general, please email me, Stephanie, and I will send you a link for a free introductory lesson and handouts. And again, the link is in the program notes. This is Stephanie Georgia saying thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. And until next time, be well.